Welcome back to Tax to You, the channel where we answer all of your tax-related questions. Today I'm going to be explaining how construction industry workers who operate under the Construction Industry Scheme, or CIS, can claim a tax refund with just 3 entries on the tax return. To do this, I'll cover why CIS workers are often entitled to a tax refund in the first place, the types of expenses that a CIS worker is able to claim for, and the minimum 3 entries that you'll need to make on your self-assessment tax return in order to trigger the tax refund successfully. Before we get into it today, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more helpful tax content. Submit your questions in the comments below and we will endeavour to get them answered either in the form of a reply or possibly a dedicated video just like this one. You can also find us at tax2you.co.uk because although our aim is always to educate our clients as much as possible and share this information, we understand that tax can be confusing, stressful, and time-consuming, and that's where we can step in and help. Check out the thousands of Trustpilot reviews from clients who trusted us to do just that. Our services include obtaining CIS tax refunds, registration for self-assessment, and even closing down your self-employment when you finish trading. You'll find a full list of services offered on our website, plus links to each of these services below. So let's start with why construction industry workers who operate under the Construction Industry Scheme are often due tax refunds from HMRC. The Construction Industry Scheme is simple in the way that it works. Subcontractors work for main contractors. The main contractors will withhold 20 or sometimes 30% of a subcontractor's gross earnings, and they transfer this across to HMRC. This amount then effectively sits as a payment on account towards the subcontractor's final tax bill come the end of the tax year, which is great. It's very easy to administer. It means that tax is collected up front and HMRC get their money promptly, but it's overly simplified. It's a one-size-fits-all approach as everyone will get taxed at the same rate, but the subcontractors are running a business and we all know that no two businesses are the same. They will all earn different amounts of money and they will all incur different expenses. So when it comes time to calculate that final tax bill, it would be extremely rare that the correct amount of tax has been collected by the main contractors. In fact, because the subcontractors pay a flat rate of tax on every penny that they earn through CIS, but in reality, when they calculate their actual tax bill, they'll only be taxed on their self-employed profits that exceed the personal allowance, and that profit figure is going to be hugely influenced by the value of allowable expenses that the individual incurs during the tax year. It means that many of those working under CIS will actually be due refunds. Sometimes these refunds can be for thousands of pounds. Where this is the case, the subcontractor will be able to reclaim the difference between what was deducted under CIS and what their actual tax liability for the tax year was. To do this, they would complete the self-employed pages of the tax return in the normal way by inputting their income figure and their allowable expenses. These figures will then be used to calculate the amount of tax payable on those self-employed profits. The subcontractor will then be able to provide details of how much tax was withheld by the main contractor. This information can be taken from the payment and deduction statements that all main contractors are obliged to provide to any subcontractors. Providing the amount of tax withheld under CIS exceeds the tax amount calculated on actual profits, then a repayment will be due. Taxpayers can provide their bank details and the amount will usually be refunded in around 8 weeks. Now, what type of expenses can a construction industry worker claim on their self-assessment tax return? Travel expenses for business journeys are an allowable expense. For most, this is going to mean claiming for the cost of running a work vehicle, such as a van. You have 2 options when it comes to keeping track of your vehicle cost. You can either claim the actual cost incurred for fuel, maintenance and insurance, or you can use HMRC's simplified expenses model, allowing up to 45 pence per business mile travelled to be deducted instead of claiming the actual cost of fuel, insurance and maintenance. Just note there are a couple of restrictions on the simplified expenses model. Any tools and equipment that are needed to undertake your job would also be allowable. This might include small power tools, hand tools, and even protective equipment such as hard hats and steel toe cap boots. Larger items of equipment and machinery can also benefit from tax relief, albeit sometimes in a slightly different way. Chop saws for a carpenter, a disc cutter for a bricklayer. These items can cost hundreds or sometimes thousands of pounds and will usually be wholly allowable. The purchase of a business vehicle such as a van falls into this category and would be an allowable business expense. Accommodation and subsistence costs can be claimed when working away on temporary assignments. Admin costs such as public liability insurance, memberships to professional bodies, mobile phones and stationery are also commonplace. Finally, let's look at the minimum 3 entries that you'll need to make on a self-assessment tax return in order to trigger a CIS tax refund. All 3 of these entries are located on pages SA103, which are the self-employment pages. The first entry is your turnover from self-employment, which goes in box 9. This is your total income before any tax was deducted by the main contractor, and you'll be able to find this detailed on your payments and deductions statement that you've received from the main contractor. This figure needs to be entered in the box labelled turnover, takings, fees, sales or money earned by your business, which is located within the self-employment pages of the return. The second entry is located on the same page in box 20, labelled total allowable expenses. Once you've been through your records and determined which expenses are allowable, then providing your turnover is lower than 85,000, they can be grouped together into a single figure and entered here. The third entry goes in box 38, which is labelled Total Construction Industry Scheme Deductions taken from your payments by contractors. Again, you'll be able to work out how much tax was deducted by the main contractors by referring to your payment and deduction statement. Once these 3 entries have been made, providing the amount of tax entered in box 38 exceeds the actual tax liability for the year, then a repayment of CIS would be due, and you'll see this on the final calculation page. Of course, if you have other sources of income, this will impact on whether a refund is issued, and there will be additional information required before the return can be submitted. But these are the 3 key entries that will trigger a refund of tax. After viewing this video, you should understand why CIS workers are often entitled to a tax refund, the types of expenses you are able to claim for, and the 3 entries that you'll need to make on the self-assessment tax return to trigger the refund successfully. Don't forget, here at Tax to You, we specialize in CIS tax refunds, so if you want our help to claim your maximum allowable refund, just follow the link below. That is all for today. Don't forget to check us out at tax2u.co.uk and subscribe to the channel for more helpful tax content. Thanks for watching. See you next time.